Oh, I didn't see that. It's me, Thomas Edward, also known as T. I'm just staying at night at Ravenstor Hostel. I've just come down off the grounds, and we come down onto Bellamy's bank, and you know, like David Bellamy, and apparently the cameraman can do a good impression of him.
Oh, there's some lovely roots down here. Ooh, orchids. Oh, orchids.
So I hope you could hear that on the mic, but there you go. And we're going to do a Millersdale walk. We're going to go down the bank and we're going to look at a few mills and a few pumps and a few bridges, and then walk back up onto the railway what goes from St Pancras up to Manchester Central. So that's today's plan. Oh, Bellamy's Bank. The limestone bank is dedicated to Dr. David Bellamy, international botanist and TV personality. Was here in 1954 that he was the first inspired by wildflowers, and then it says April 1987, and it was erected by the YHA. So it was here on this very bank where David Bellamy was inspired by all the wildflowers to be a botanist. There's some hawks up there, it could be a kite. We're going down in the Millersdale down here off the bottom of Bellamy's Bank, and you can just see through trees over there is Lytton Mill, and we're going to go and look at Lytton Mill because it's got some very dark history, but I'll tell you when we'll get down there. So we're come down onto the road, we're heading towards Lytton Mill. And Lytton Mill was owned by Mr. Dickey, but it's had many owners over the years, many owners. But when Mr. Dickey came from Stockport to live and he made his house at Ravenstor, where the YHA is today, he had this mill, he owned this mill, and I think he built his house high up so he could see his workers go to work down the valley down here. But he was the only owners of that house up there, and before it got sold off to the National Trust, and now they have a lease from the National Trust to YHA to have it. But the history of Lytton Mill, it had a lot of child labour, and they advertised it throughout children about you coming to the country, and we're getting out of all the smog, and you come into the country, you know, we have a nice time. But it was pretty much just slavery, pretty much, and all these mills, and a lot of children died here, and the owners of the mills felt so embarrassed they couldn't bury them all in one churchyard. So with all the churchyards around this area, all the children are spread out in them, so it looks like it's not a hot spot in one church, there's lots of them. And this is the same for both mills. We'll talk about the other mill when we get down the bottom, but Lytton Mill's the same, it had a lot of child labour. T.E.'s mum has a picture of T.E.'s mum's sister, my auntie, at the very bottom when they're young girls. Because at the very, I think like the last two white houses along this road, the taller ones, it was a cafe. As his mum's walked all over here from a kid all the way to a teenager and a young adult, and all the way through her life. So it's known well of the TE family. So Mum wants to try and dig this photo out so I can put it in this video. And it's just where that red car is, there's a picture of them there, her and her sister. And there was a cafe. It's actually Monsell Cottage now, so it might have been that's where the calf was in there. We're coming up down there, there's a little path down there between this wall and this house what goes up to Monkswell Trail. Me and the cameraman have done that in the dark, sort of our nighttime walk that is up there. And down here we're coming into the main gates of Lytton Mill with the two big balls on the top. But you can tell everything, every single bit of property and barn and storage area is glorified by houses. That's why they don't like you parking down here. You can say it's a proper big grand mill. Look at the big round windows in it. And proper big long windows, proper sort of mill windows. And there's two on Rightmove at the moment. And they're not really houses inside the mill, they're flats. They're all flats. I don't know how many flats there is, but at the moment there's two flats. I think one's a 1 bedroom and one's a 2 bedroom. One's 200. I think the 2 bedroom's 216,000 and the 1 bedroom's 200,000. So they're a lot of money for a flat in the mill down here. That's what I'm saying. They're quite glorified flats, really. You can see in that one, in that end window, there's a big oak desk with a brass, looks like a lamp you get off a ship. It's not quite a carriage lamp, that. Hello.
Hello.
So you can see down here at the bottom of the chimney, probably boiler room would have been in there. Some Lancashire boilers. It's a house now. This is where all the residents park down here. And you've all got old sleepers what they park against. Like you go to Phoenix building, the main doors. It's not all flats, I think right at the end, like where the chimney is, that's a house, and it's houses as you come in. But around the back of the mill, when you get to the end of it, you can look back and there's like a driveway. And I think there's quite a bit of a house up there. Not these are houses as well. You can hear the river in the background, but obviously would have driven the mill. And it drove the other mill down the other end as well. And if you see a few hens in that one, it's the old gas house. It's got a few hens knocking around, plucking around. Oh, the driveway's not original. This is all brand new. All these cobbles. And then we're going over the bridge here, what goes over the river. And you can look up here, up the river, up to the back of the mill. And all the different bits of, look, it's like a sluice that comes underneath the mill. There's a water wheel somewhere, isn't there? Up there. So up there's a hole in the mill, and that was probably where the big water wheel was. But this is the tail race, this is what this bit of the river, what's coming out. We're going to carry on down the Dale now and look at an interesting pump in the undergrowth, and then get on to Cressbrook Mill at the very end. And that's another mill Mr. Dickey at Ravenstor also owned, even though it had many owners. At one time he did own both mills in situ. So we're leaving Millersdale now, and we're walking into what they call Cum Jolly. Up there, that's a big face of the tunnel up there, the Lytton Tunnel, where Monkswell Trail is obviously the London St Pancras to Manchester Central line, and that's just all the big sheer face of it. And there's actually 2 tunnels. I think the other one's Cressbrook Tunnel and the other one's Lytton. Like associated also with the mills, because they're in line with the mills, like Lytton tunnels, and so is in line with Lytton Mill, and then Cressbrook tunnels located near Cressbrook Mill. But that's the sheer face of it there. So we've just seen a dipper and a couple looking at him, and they have like little different like eyelids where they can sort of flip across to different eyes, almost like an underwater eye, like a goggle, and then he can flip his eyelid back and he's to his normal eyes. And then that's a grey wagtail. We've just seen him with his yellow belly bobbing around. I've just done some video of, and we did some video of the dipper. We never saw any of the other creatures. And look, butterfly, orange tip butterfly. Rainbow trout. Saw a fisherman coming out, but he's been seeing a bit of rainbow trout. So we're at Whittle's Weir. And actually it's got something interesting in this weir. It's got this bit at the side, what's a leat. It's the start of a leat, where the water will come down here and channel down here. And the leat always ends up ending up in a water wheel, but I'll show you that down here. But this is the start of it, and then it goes down here. So here, this is what that leat run comes down to, is this undershot water wheel, what's all cast iron. It probably would have had wood paddles on it, but they've all gone, they've rotted out. And this drove underneath here, the big shaft comes underneath this track and goes to a big pump. You can just see a bit of a pipe on it what comes from the river. So it would drive this pump, and this pump would suck water out the river. There's a big pipe actually underneath the track, you can see the top of it. And then apparently it pumped up to the houses on top. And I only know this because my great-granddad in the 1920s cycled over from Macclesfield over to Cat and Fiddle when they just tarmacked it with his friend Harry Lee, who had Lee Metals in Macclesfield. And he cycled over because he had some relations down at Cressbrook. And he came down here, and because he was an engineer, and his brain was wired up the right way, anything like this was interest to him. So I think he chatted to someone about it, and then from generations down he chatted to his son about it, who's my granddad, and then it goes down through all the generations now what we have in the family today. So this has always been a tale, this pump, for many, many generations since 1920s. But it's still here now. What's the amazing thing, it's still here. The water wheel's still here and all the pipe work's still here, but the pump's disappeared. The pump isn't here anymore. And yeah, it's quite interesting really how it sort of survived, and how times have changed, where people have water in tanks now and mains water, where a long time ago they had to pump up from this river all the way up there, through a pipe, through the limestone, right up to top. It's a long way up there. There's actually a row of houses on top. You come down across the road, you come from like Millersdale, you come from like Tideswell, and you come across to Cressbrook, and there's houses on top, and this is what this pump was for. So it's pretty good, that. And probably if you get someone like Sam Morris, he'd probably have it, he'd come down here in his landy, he'd probably get this running, and I reckon I'd give him a weekend, he'd probably get it running. And you get someone do some planks for it, and get it all fatted up. He'd be like, yeah, and he'd get it all done, and he'd be, just imagine Sam in there, in his donkey jacket, in his boots, trying to free it, because it's all silted up now. And quite funny, that would be actually quite entertaining at the same time. So anyway, we're going to walk down a bit further now to Cressbrook Mill. That's the next point of interest. Yeah, we're lucky today because this normally floods when we've had a bit of rain. You can see it's a bit muddy at the moment. It's not too bad though. I've seen it worse. I've been up here a lot worse. But when it really does flood and it comes over here water, there's actually a path that goes over the top of the limestone so you can avoid it all. It's not too bad today. Now here it is. When we were up at Waterway up there, they actually replaced it with another pump further on, and we thought it gone, but it's here. It's built into limestone, some bricks. Looks like Pavel and Gregory could have built this in Grange over Sands. It's quite good. And inside there's a bed for a pump and a few pipes. When we were coming down here, we were looking on the Tinterweb, and we were thinking it was a ramp pump, but the jury's out on it because there's no sort of, for a ramp pump to work, you have to have a slanting sort of waterway into the pump before it goes into the chamber and forces it up. But this isn't. This looks like it could have been like a bit of a diesel pump, because it almost looks like it's got an exhaust going out, but it could be water going up into a pipe going up into the rock on top. But there is a pipe here, what looks like a handrail, but it is pipe work. So it's a bit of a mystery, that one is, but it's had a pump in there for pumping up to houses. And I think that is an exhaust on top of the roof, because it goes nowhere and there's no holes into the limestone, so it was a diesel pump. Or it could have been a combustion petrol pump. It's not steam, but there's a few like holes in the side of it. Could have had a bit of exhaust coming out, or a few pipes coming out of it. Yeah, or a big air intake could have been on there, but who knows? Right, so the water's gone a lot more stiller, and this is quite famous down here. This is the true water Cum Jolly down here, and it's famous all this valley for these big cliff face. There's still water, and lots of people do lots of rock climbing around the corner. And this, like I say, this can be flooded all over here. We actually did walk up here the other day and come to this bit just to see it, because my mum can't do as much downhill walking anymore, so she can just get to this bit because she used to walk over this as a teen. And just round the corner is Cressbrook Mill. You probably just see it through trees, but we'll talk to that when we get down there. So this is where the all come rock climbing. You can see all the little ledges where they've had the hands and and the feet. And there's actually a sign there, so they'd never had any permission. They could stop them at any one time for climbing on here, but they do it. So it's all a bit worn out, the sign now. It's coming apart. But sometimes they come down here and they all got the mats on the bottom and all the rope going up. And actually the road coming down from the Anglers' Rest, where the pub is, just a bit down from Midland Railway station, and you come down the road to Lytton Mill, there's actually climbing they do down there. But it's all this limestone. They can sort of limestone roads over the years. When it gets acid rain on it, ends up having all these little slots, and you can see all the white chalk we put on their hands to give them grip. And we're down at, this is I think it's a big turbine under. I always thought it was for like trout that they could flip over. But I think it's a big turbine, and it's all got electric power going to it, and hydraulic hoses, and a camera on it monitoring it with a light, and a few boxes, and you can see there's all big sluice gates there, what they've had a big ratchet system on originally. But it's always got a constant flow of water going through it, and this goes down, it's like the old leats going into the mill, this is. And Cressbrook, we'll go down and we'll show you the interesting clock face. We won't film too much because it's all private houses, but I'll show you an interesting bit of history. And the main river's behind us across there, what's coming out of the Cum Jolly behind us, and it flows down there. The bridge is actually, there's a bridge over there, what you can go over the river and it takes you up onto the railway line. It's actually shut at the moment. They've got a few fences over because all the wood's rotten and it's falling through, so you have to go the long way. You have to go up to Monkshoe Head, up where the whole tower is, and go around that way, the Monkshoe Head viaducts. But that's another time. We'll walk up there today, but we won't film it. I want to film it on like a special video at a future date. But I'm actually going to do that today and then get on to the railway line and show you the two tunnels. So that's what the ending of today is going to be. But down here is Cressbrook Mill. So you might have seen these signs here that says Save Cressbrook Dale, and you've even got a website, savecressbrookdale.com, and it's something to do with someone off Dragon's Den who's bought a load of land round here and is trying to build on it. And all the locals are not happy about it. I wouldn't be happy about it. It's like the lakes, all of a sudden you become very gentrified, and it doesn't need to be gentrified, it needs to be natural and iconic, not built on and made into a city. That's why we have the countryside. So that's why you see all these signs around. And these are brand new signs, they've only come up this year. So it's all a bit up in the air at the moment, what's going on, unfortunately. See, this big old sluice gate here would have a big handle on there, what you put on like you get on the canals, and it have this big ratchet system, and this flicks back as it turns round, and it lifts the gates up and down. And this is still the end of the leat here. I had a grandma who worked here, so she would have seen this. So it's dead old, up big cast iron. Good, isn't it, that? It's a work of art, that is. So we're down at Cressbrook Mill, and this is a much more grander mill than Lytton Mill. It's got a bell on top, a big brass bell, so there's a bit of ding going on up there. And this was also once owned by Mr. Dickey, who had Ravenstor Hall, what's the YHA today. Obviously it's had many other owners as well, but the sort of the famous bit was always talked about every time I come past this mill is the clock face. In the middle of the clock face, it's got little windows in it, and that's the loft space where all the child labour and slavery sort of slept up there, and that's the only light they got, was that little windows around the clock face. So that's always talked about up here, the little windows in the clock face, and the children sleeping upstairs. but as you can see, it's very much gentrified and very much as I call posh. It's quite well done now, and it's quite weird really when they live in all these nice quaint little flats, but the really dark history the mill's got. I bet it's got a few ghosts. I bet T's mum's can pick up ghosts, and she can sleep in a building like this and hear and see things. So if you get a medium here, I bet there's a few good tales to be had once the lights have gone off. But yeah, it's a grand looking old mill. It's still standing today, what's a good thing. It hasn't been knocked down, so it is being used, but it's not like it once was. So we're going to walk on from here up to Montserrat and walk round onto viaduct and down into tunnels, but I'm not going to film any of that because I want to do that at a future date, talking about viaducts. Don't want to spoil it, but I want to talk about the tunnels. So next time you see me, I'll be in a Cressbrook Tunnel or Lytton Tunnel. What's up there? It's underneath that big cliff face. So there you go. I'll see you in a bit. Monkswed down there, Monkswed Viaduct, and that's where we were before. We were down there at Cressbrook Mill, and you could actually, in normal times, you could walk up that path when the bridge is open and it sort of cuts off the corner. And this is Cressbrook Tunnel, what I told you about when I was down in Millersdale Valley. This is the first one of two tunnels, and the other side is Lytton Tunnel. And they're both sort of named after the mills, even though the mills are sort of named after sort of where they situate in the valley. And there's actually a Patreon video on these tunnels. What you have to join Patreon to find out, because it's actually I'll tell you a bit of a secret, it's a tea meetup, something to do with these tunnels. So get on Patreon and you'll find that out. And we're going to walk up through them, up to the top, up to back round in a loop. That's where we were before. We were walking down there, hugging against that bank along there, and the pumping houses along there, and there's Cum Jolly around the corner down there. That was Cressbrook Tunnel done. That's one of the longest tunnels. Lytton's a bit shorter than that. And looking up that valley there, you go around the corner, you get up to Ravenstor. So we walk through Lytton, and then we'll walk a bit further up, and then there's a path what you can go down, what goes down these steps and across a wooden bridge. And it drops you out near the driveway what takes you from the Lytton Mill Road up to the YHA. Look at this embankment they've had to create with all this stone to reinforce it falling into the river. But you can actually see, you come out one tunnel and you're straight into the other tunnel. You can just see the mouth of it up there. And I've also seen my favourite dog coming there, a sausage dog. I like a sausage dog. So there you go, so we're going to go up there then. Got stuff they've piled on top of Litton Mill, look. I call the sort of almost the slag they've put on top, the spoil. This is quite a short one. It's long, but it's shorter than Cressbrook tunnel. Still got a nice sort of big sort of left hand. It depends what way you're coming from. A big left hand or a big right hand. The curve in the middle, it's not entirely straight. That one has a curve on it, and then it sort of straightens out a bit at the end of that one. On a unicycle. It's no slouch, is he? That's the end of Litton Tunnel. We got to see a lady make farm animal noises, someone on a unicycle and loads of bikes and people walking through. Oh, it was good that. And then we're going to walk up there. You can actually come up, if you go a bit further down here, now right, there's the first path you come to that actually takes you down to Litton Mill, what I talked about early on. But if we carry on like we're going to do, you get up to another path that's on your right and you drop down these steps into a wooden bridge. And you come up on the very bottom driveway of the YHA, what's like a walking path. It's not a proper driveway anymore. And down there, I think that's where I'm going to do my ending. So that's Litton Mill down there. We were just walking down there before. That's the gas house that is there underneath that chimney. So if you want to come and do this walk, or you want to come and follow the footsteps of T, either way, or you just want to learn some history, go and park up at Midland Railway Station. What I've done a video about before, you have to look back, if it's a Buxton video, it's up there. I've done it, it's in one of my Buxton videos, I actually talk about it. You park there and then you walk down the road. Don't walk, you can walk along this and do it backwards, but the best way is to do it the way I did it. Walk down the road to Angler's Rest, you come down from the station, like a twisty road, and you sort of turn left and then right and you see the Angler's Rest pub. And you can actually park around the entrance to Angler's Rest, but you're better parking up at Railway. And then you walk down this road to Angler's Rest, down Miller's Dale, you come to Litton Mill, and then you walk down towards Cressbrook Mill and you go through what Cum Jolly, you know, where that swan was, where they all climb up on the walls, and then you come to Cressbrook Mill, and then you can walk from Cressbrook Mill, because at the moment the bridge is shut. You have to walk up onto the road, what goes up to Monkshead, there's a hotel up there, and then walk down to Monkshead Viaduct, and then you walk down and through the tunnels. And now there's also, you can sort of, you look on the map, you can make your own route really, because up here you can drop down straight back down to Litton Mill again, or when you were at Cressbrook Mill you could cut off the corner going up to Monkshead and go up that other path, but obviously it's shut at the moment because it's a weak bridge, it's a weak bridge, and I've got to say that again, it was a weak bridge. And then you walk round, and then you can just walk, you can actually just carry on this line up there, behind camera, right back up to where your car's parked to Midland Railway Station. Have a bit of nose bag. But we're just going to get up here, don't go down the first path to Litton Mill, we're going to go down the second path, what brings us down onto the lane, what goes to Litton Mill, what's near the YHA old driveway, what doesn't really exist anymore. Oh, there's some Hiluxes here, brand new Hilux, and a Hilux before that. And this is an older sort of Hilux here. Some big all-terrain tyres on. You can hear them pecking away at it. They had chainsaws earlier on when we were down at Valley, but they Got the axe out somewhere up there. Well, that's what they say they're doing. You could be doing something totally different, but they've got their axe out anyway. So this is where we want to turn down here. And you can see on here, Bakewell, Radar, Ravenstor, where we need to be. That's the YHA down there. So we'll get down here. It's a big steep path with loads of steps, and it sort of twists down and it ends up in a wood bridge. And we cross that and then go up the old driveway. So let's get on down. Before it rains, I can hear the rain. There's a bit of splashing of water about. Oh, a bit tall this. There's an Isuzu D-Max coming. Wow, look at all his wood. It was stacked up with wood. Maybe it's some of that ash dieback in the back of his pickup. So this is the way up to Usos, so we can't drive up anymore, you can only walk up it. And I might add that if you actually stay for a few nights, get up to Ravenstor YHA, and it's not for young, and it's for all class of people. It's Usos, YHA. T.E.'s mum's gold membership card holder from the 1960s, and so was the cameraman. And get up there and stay in it. If you get here in the next few months, if this video comes out before November, you might actually get to see Tilly up north. He's actually doing a bit of season work up there, so you might get a bit of Tilly up north. And it's starting to rain. The rain's coming down on T.E. It's not the sun coming down on T.E., it's the rain. And this is the Litton Road behind us here, what goes up Tangler's Rest, and Litton Mill down there. And then I'm going to walk up here back to YHA. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give us a like, comment below, and subscribe, and remember to click that big bell. Ding!